right, let's talk about this now with our legal panel. Joining us now, civil rights attorney Daniel Hochheiser and defense attorney Heather Hansen. Wow. I mean, the latest revelations that, we'd heard about these computer searches, not only by the husband, but by the wife, looking up how long does it take for a child to die in a hot car. Now we're hearing that he was sexting while this was going on. It is almost too hard to believe that he would purposely do this and be so relaxed about a dying child that he would be sexting. I almost think that works in his favor.
It may well work in his favor as far as premeditation and murder is what he's being charged with. But it also sort of adds to the negligence issue where you're so preoccupied with these text messages that you're not thinking about where your child is.
And Daniel, for him, it boggles the mind to me that in this day and age, you don't assume that everything you're doing online is being tracked or will be stored in a history somewhere. I mean, unless it's an IRS email, that's another story. But, do you think that these parents could have been so naive to think that they could search for something that sounds really bad and not expect that somebody would find it at some point?
Well, the information is always found, and when you type an email, when you send a text, when you post something on social media, it's forever. So law enforcement has caught up with the technology, and now there's a huge trend to use emails and all kinds of posts to social media which incriminate suspects, and that information in this case will be key because of those searches about how long can you keep a child in a car in the heat, which is unbelievable if that's so.
What
that
a
coincidence.
search was done. So I wanted to ask you that question about whether technology and the law are staying apace with each other, because I normally cover the Supreme Court. They do get a lot of criminal cases, and we had the case the decision just a few days ago about getting a warrant for cell phone searches in the midst of an arrest. But a lot of times I find that the court will openly express during arguments that technology and the law are not exactly working in tandem all the time in the best way.
Without a doubt, we are behind technology. Right now in civil cases, we are just now realizing all the advantages of doing these types of searches, going back and looking at Facebook searches, looking at Twitter searches. For the plaintiff in your case, even for jury members, sometimes you'll do those types of searches. So we are doing it, but certainly not to the extent that it can be done under technology. I think we have a lot to learn as lawyers as to what we can actually do.
Well, I think that the technology moves so rapidly that it is a struggle, and I think law enforcement is working very hard, as well as the private bar on the other side, to keep up with the technology. And that's why you have Supreme Court decisions which are analyzing cell phones instead of things found in homes.
I mean, one of the cases they heard a couple years ago, they were talking about pagers and beepers, and everybody in the courtroom was sort of like, is that still a thing? I got to tell you, our producer just told me that one of the things, as this is happening live, apparently the prosecutors say that one of the things he searched for was, quote, how to survive in prison. I mean, how bad is this starting to look for him, Heather?
It's really looking...
What do you do with this if he's your client?
I mean, it goes to your point, Shannon, that people should realize, and I've said this before, what you're doing when you're on the computer, act as if you're on reality television, because everything that you're doing on the computer is savable. It's out there in the cloud, even if you erase your history. Clearly, this man did not realize that, or he's just... It's just unbelievable that those are the types of searches that he's doing, and then this was the end result.
We've got to leave it there. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Thank you both. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Have a happy 4th. All right, House Speaker